Hi, I'm Val Garay. I'm going to take you through the recording of an acoustic guitar. I originally started designing this whole method when I was working with James Taylor, and I haven't really deviated from that much in the last 40 or so years. So I'm going to take you through, kind of the mic setup and how we do that part of it. I use two different things on an acoustic guitar. I use a C12A, or if I don't have one of those available, a 414, which is the C12A is the tube version of the 414, and an ECM50, which is a lav mic that Sony made in the 70s. You can still find them online, buy them. It's an amazing, amazing microphone. One of the first mics that I use is a Sony ECM50, and it's called an ECM50 P like Paul, S like Sam. And the reason it's called a PS is because this microphone will run with a power supply, as opposed to having to put batteries in it and constantly dealing with that. You can put batteries in it because it's got this opening and a place to put them. They're kind of an odd size. It's a 1.5 volt. When I first started using these, I always had to put batteries in them, and I got tired of the battery stuff. And here is the head of the microphone. This is what that looks like. And then it has a little clip that looks like this. And what happens is the mic gets put into the clip facing towards the strings like this, yeah. And this goes in the F hole. So it's right below where, the whole opening is in the guitar. So that's the ECM50. And then the 414 looks like this. And the same thing I do on a 414, I do on a C12A, which is there's a low frequency roll off on this in the back. On the back of this one is 0, 40, 80, and 160 hertz. I always do a 40, which is the first setting. And then the front is always in the standard cardioid mode. Okay? So now, the next thing I'm going to do is take you through how I put this mics on a guitar. Put a little bit of tape on the hole of the guitar, because this microphone clip has little saw teeth in it, and you don't want it to injure the guitar. So I put this on and hold it right there. Then I usually take another piece of tape and put it right there. So that now gets the picking end of his right where he's picking on the strings. Then the next mic that comes in is a 414, and that sits at about this angle right here. About a little over a hand's width away from the F hole in the guitar, centered on the hole, giving the person playing the guitar plenty of room to play. And that's the setup. The preamps that I use, typically I like to use API 312s. There's different versions of them. There's the standard API 312, there's the Brent Averill version, and there's the Avitas version, which has his own 2520 op amp in it. I vary between them based on the kind of sound that I want. The regular 312 API with the 2520s in it is probably the go-to standard, but I actually like Avitas's preamp as well because it has a little more punch to it. So that's what I do in the preamp world. The acoustic guitar, in order to get it to sound like it has the power of an electric guitar, it's driven by two things. One is driven by the person playing the guitar, of course, and the other is by the amount of compression you put on it and the type of compression you put on it and the type of EQ you put on it. I've always used an API 525 compressor on acoustics. The reason is that they have an amazingly fast attack and release time. So what happens is, if you try to compress things and it kind of has a slower attack or release time to it built in, the attack of the guitar kind of gets minimalized and you lose that angst that you want in the acoustic guitar, if that's what you're looking for. It comes up in 2 dB steps, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 dB of compression. I always try to run an acoustic guitar that's just something pretty at 2 dBs of compression. But when I try to do something like this that has to have a little grind to it, I want to do it at 4 or 6. And then directly after the compressor, I put an API 550 and usually EQ the guitar at 10K on a shelf and 3K on a peak, giving it that kind of mid to top end grind to it. The bottom end is created by the guitar. I don't think I have ever or rarely ever add bottom end to an acoustic guitar. I love the natural sound of the bottom end if it's mic'd properly. I did a project at Blackbird Studios about 2 years ago with Richie Furay, and I had two of the best guitar players in the business down there playing on the sessions, Chris Lusinger and Tom Bukovac. Amazing, amazing guitarists. Chris plays guitar for Garth Brooks and Tom plays on every session in Nashville. The song that we were working on is called Somebody Like You. It was originally written by Keith Urban, and I needed the acoustic guitars to have the power and the strength of an electric guitar in the track. I had a figure that they were going to play, but I wanted to have two guitars doing it in stereo, so we broke the figure up into two parts. We have the Chris Lusinger part. It's a very simple part, and it goes like this. And then the Tom Bukovac part is the counterpart to that one, and that goes like this. And those two parts are spread out in stereo so that you have one on each side. So not only do you get the strength of the two guitars, but it, being in stereo, it really makes it sound like a freight train coming at you, which is, hard to do with acoustic guitars. You put the two of them together. I'll start with Tom's part and add Chris's. So it goes. And if you hear it in the track, you'll see how that plays into the drum kit. So it goes like this. So just to recap, the variation in the amount of compression for the acoustic guitar varies between 2 and 6 dB on a 525 compressor. And the same with the EQ, depending on how the person's playing it. If he's playing it with a pick, with his fingers, all that is a derivative of what you think is correct for that application. But the setup never changes. It stays exactly as I described it. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you again soon.